results.
And GS, if you needed someone to improve your digital business transformation, who would you use?
Oh, without a doubt, I'd go straight to DB Results.
AC, digital solutions, you've got to improve it in your business. Who'd you go to?
Got to be DB Results, AA.
I tell you, DB Results are the right digital solutions for your business.
When the going gets tough.
Going gets tough.
When the going gets tough.
DB Results.
When the going gets tough.
DB Results.
Well, there you go.
I'm Ilana Razbash, and this is Radio Architecture.
Good evening from beautiful Bunurong country. Welcome back for another broadcast of Radio Architecture with Ilana Razbash. It's our 77th conversation and the first one for a new year for 2025. Welcome back, listeners. I hope you've had a healthy, happy, safe festive season and you're energized and ready to go for another year of programming. We sure are, and just so keen to have you all with us, to have your questions. Tonight's conversation is a pre-record, but we are live to YouTube. So if you're catching us on YouTube, you can still text us in the studio on 0493 213 831. Thank you to everyone who sent in some questions via Instagram already. We're going to read them out as part of this conversation. And from next week onwards, we will be back live on the air and broadcasting live from the studio here in the Karam Swamp from Radio Karam. My conversation partner and guest this evening in the studio is Lee Stevens. He's an accomplished recruitment consultant with over 13 years of local and international experience in architecture, design and planning. He has worked with boutique studios through to international consultancies and prides himself on his vast industry network and his honest and professional approach. He's a passionate and driven person who applies common sense and excellent business acumen to each challenge and builds solid and reliable relationships with everyone he works with. Originally from the UK, Lee relocated to Melbourne in 2014 and has since established roots with his wife Danielle, whom he married in 2017. He is a proud father to his daughter, Aribine, and his newborn son, Florian, and the family's crazy cocker spaniel, Peso. Outside of his professional pursuits, Lee is passionate about sports, actively participating as a cricketer, soccer player, and head coach at the Lee Stevens Soccer Academy. Welcome to the program, Lee.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
It's
Great intro.
It's so good to have you on the program. You're the first recruiter that I've spoken with who specialises in our industry, in architecture, interiors, design, planning, even a bit of engineering, construction too. And it's really perhaps such a timely conversation for the beginning of the new year when people are taking stock of what's going on for them, what's coming up for them. Maybe it was a super quiet time towards the end of 2024. How do you reflect on the end of the 2024 job hunting, recruiting season? How was last year really?
Last year, honestly, it was very, very difficult. It was a difficult year. It started off okay, and then just over the time, it just got a little bit challenging for all. But there were very positive signs at the end of the year. Lots more engagement, lots more clientele wanting some assistance, which is obviously very positive moving into 2025.
And I'm seeing that actually on Instagram too, with more companies posting, we're hiring. This reopening of 2015 has been with a boom, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's the last sort of 4 to 6 weeks of last year, you could see it. You could really, really see it. You could see lots more. There are lots of candidates open to work, and generally, hopefully now they have got employment. And then moving the next month or two, it will really start to ramp up. And that's what we're hearing a lot more, which is excellent because, we just need a bit of positivity in the world. And I think with this, especially in architecture, that'd be amazing.
Absolutely. New change, new beginnings.
Absolutely.
A new year.
Absolutely. Yeah, that'd be great for all.
Let's go back to your beginning though. Yep. I want to ask you the question I ask all my guests.
Go on.
What's your earliest memory of a building or place?
An earliest memory of building all place.
Yeah.
It would definitely. So, growing up, my family and my dad, especially, were heavily into cricket, and there was a place called the BR Ground, and it was an amazing old building, and it was just a beautiful place that we used to play, and that would definitely be one of my memories. Old sort of railway building part of it. It'd be beautiful, beautiful place. Yeah, that would be my earliest sort of memory of a place or a building or anything sort of family related. It was just a happy, happy time.
Do you remember the style of the cricket pavilion? And did it have the white
It was
picket fence?
nothing like you would get today. Nothing like you would get today. It was very, very old, big, bright white building, big concrete blocks, big windows. Wasn't a fence around it, nothing like that. It had housing estates all around it. It really was just in the middle of where we were, and it was one of the sort of iconic places where people would go and share amazing stories. There was sports and cricket and tennis and all sorts going on, but it was a big family place, and I just remember that was an amazing place to be.
Sounds a bit like the pavilion we're broadcasting out of right now, the Roy Door Pavilion here in Carrum that has so much community activity.
Very much community based around here. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Where in the UK was this?
So originally from Swindon, which is in Wiltshire, in the southwest of England.
What was that like?
Amazing, loved it. It's a big town. Apparently, it was the biggest town in Europe. Yeah, it was an amazing place to grow up. Lots of family and friends, memories, everything really. It was just a great place to be. It wasn't, at the time we were growing up, it wasn't huge. And then obviously as we got older, it got bigger and bigger. It just like vastly expanded. But yeah, it's definitely a place that I was proud to be from. Definitely a place that I still call home now. Only been back a few times in the last sort of 10 or so years, and when I go back, it's great to see everyone. It really is.
What was your first career before recruitment?
So my career,
Your training.
Training, yeah. So my background really has always been soccer, football. Sort of heavily involved in that from a very, very young age. Played, for several sort of professional outfits. And it really sort of stemmed from my dad. Really, he was an exceptional player, and I've got 3 brothers, and we were all heavily involved in sports and cricket, and whatever. But soccer was my first real passion. I just remember just the long nights, the long days, the afternoons, the weekends, the cold, the rain. My dad was always there. My mum was there to sort of grab our kits and wash them, and for the next day, because it was just like non-stop. But yeah, so really my sort of first sort of passion and career would have been playing soccer.
You played professionally?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I was lucky. It's I've always had a passion for it. I went to America and played in California.
Which clubs? I'm sure the listeners know football better than me.
Yeah,
and
so
will
sort
be
of
able to tell you.
start off very young at Southampton, who are currently in the Premier League. I played for Swindon Town, a local boy. I went and played for Bristol Rovers and Salisbury City in the conference. Then we're sort of lucky enough to play at Wembley in the UK. So the sort of second official game at the new Wembley in front of, it holds 90,000. But
some amazing stadiums.
Yeah, unbelievable. So that was amazing. I was lucky enough to sort of captain England as well, under 18s. Played for them 4 times. That was an amazing experience as well. And yeah, and from that I sort of got picked up to go to America and have like a scholarship. So yeah, had a good eventful career, and I think that really sort of helped me develop into what I am today. I was always told from like a young age or early 20s, I think you would be good in sales, or you'd be good in recruitment, you'd be good how to talk to people, or your passion for, like, I don't know, KPIs, or your passion for sales, or winning, or that sort of has really helped me stem into or grow into who I guess I'm now.
I'm a big fan of the show Ted Lasso,
Oh my god, that's so funny.
which is about
It's
soccer.
a bit
It's
far
about
fetched, but it's unbelievable. Like, but the passion for it, right? He's unbelievable.
it's
so
about the
funny.
human condition.
Yeah, it is.
It's
yeah.
a show that's about football and soccer,
Yeah.
but it's actually about people
Yeah, it's about people
and
Yeah,
relationships and how
yeah.
people connect.
connect. Yeah, yeah, and how he can lead, how he leads, but his ways in which he leads, and it's very unique. But it's so true.
Are those truths and lessons and features about people that we, as the viewers, get to experience in the show? You being a professional player on that side of it, is that real? Is that true? Is how
Yeah.
how important it is?
Very true. Very real. Yeah, it's it. Yeah, if without that, it's difficult, right? You need to have that connection. You need to have the people, reality, everything really.
Yes.
And that's what you want. Community based. That's what you want.
What was your biggest lesson from being a player that you've taken into your professional life?
Talking lots and lots and lots. Communicating. To be honest with you, my dad from a very, very young age said, Lee, you can have a bad game with the ball at your feet, but you can talk yourself a good game. And I always remembered that. You can talk yourself a good game. And I was like, okay, that makes sense. So communication, how you lead, how people listen, not overdoing it, but making sure you're doing or directing at the right time. Communication is massive, and just especially what we do at the moment with the business that I'm involved in, hugely important for everyone.
Ted Lasso that seemed to suggest that was effectively the difference between a great team and a good team or an average team or a losing team. That communication.
Massive.
Would you agree?
Absolutely. You've got to communicate from top to bottom and from bottom to top. And you've all got to be in the same sort of wavelength of doing that. It's really important. Like, communication is key for everything. Day to day, family life, sports, anything. If you can communicate correctly in a positive way, it's great. It makes life easy. And you know where you stand as well.
That's so true. What's the best stadium you ever played in? The most beautiful one architecturally, I mean.
Wembley. Wembley Stadium. Got like the big arch over the top in London. Definitely, 100%.
Love that.
Yeah, amazing.
So you came to Australia and moved into recruitment. And how did this specific niche of architecture come about for you?
Well, I was sort of involved in recruitment in the UK before I came over, and we involved in sort of construction, architecture and stuff. So I had an understanding of what it was anyway. So when I came over, there was an opportunity to go straight into architecture. I was like, perfect. No, it's great. Love it. And it came about, and within a week of me arriving, I had the opportunity to have my own architecture desk. It was sponsored. And they said the rest is history, and we've been here ever since. It worked out just absolutely brilliantly.
Often architectural recruiters will have some background in architecture or some experience of architectural training. Have you ever found that challenging when you're looking at CVs or portfolios?
No, honestly not. It's my role is to find the right individual culturally for that practice. A skill set can be developed, can be learnt, but culturally, that's the really hard part. Your personality is kind of ingrained in you, right? So it's just trying to find out what they need and how that's going to best support them. I can look at a CV all day and I can see like Revit or ArchiCAD, I got commercial experience, whatever. But what's really important is how do they interact with me, and is that right for that special design firm or large scale firm or whatever. And then we go from there. They got the right person, great. Now let's look at the skill set. So first personality, culturally, and then the skill set.
Do you find the practices you work with are also aligned in that mindset? Or they're coming to you with really specific requirements and we want this person, that person?
They always want that sort of,
Unicorn.
And my daughter loves the unicorns at the moment, but no, they always want the unicorns. Well, not always, but some are realistic. It kind of depends. It depends on the need. It could be a short-term need. It could be a 2-month. We just need them to come in, get the work done. They don't have to be culturally brilliant, but from a contract standpoint, they're just going to get the work done. But if it's a long-term investment from them, yeah, it is important. But also we want to align ourselves with the right people to work with. We don't work with everybody. We don't plan to. I work with a number of people across the industry over the number of years, and there's firms out there that I would not work with, and that's fine, because I don't believe in how they probably do things. Not from design standpoint. There's nothing to do with me, but it's more about culturally. How do they interact with me? Do they believe what I do is added value to them? And if they don't, fine. It's absolutely fine. There's plenty more out there who do.
That is just so important, that design and collaboration actually begins with people
Yes.
and how people work together.
Yes.
And creating that great energy, great team, great connection that'll flow out and influence the wider project team that you work with. I often repeat on the show with listeners, and we return to the point that it's many, many hands and very big teams that actually bring buildings into existence.
Yeah. Yeah. So true. Yeah. So true.
I'll ask a listener question in case
Go on.
the folks at home are on the edge of their seat. We've had a couple of questions from one of our really great listeners, Kimberly, who's also known out in the industry as Archivist in the Making, and has her podcast all about helping grads and students and supporting and guiding them.
Amazing.
Her question is, do you prefer looking for people or people looking for you when it comes to job hunting?
I prefer to look for people myself. Yeah.
How do you go about that? How important is LinkedIn? Are you stalking and searching?
When you first start out, the social things like that is important because you might not know anybody. That's fine. So over time, you kind of, you use it from a social standpoint in terms of I have a job or this or that, but reality is network, massively important. You just get on the phone, you make some phone calls, you will get CVs through, that's absolutely fine. But ideally, I want to be finding the people to move them looking for work, because not everyone, but majority of people are in work. It's not a reflection at the moment, but generally when it's a busy time and people are in work, they're the ones that you kind of want to talk to a lot more, for various reasons. But ideally, yeah, that's what I would look for. More of a headhunting thing than anything else.
She's also wondering, how do you support those who are struggling with multiple rejections?
It's a difficult one. That's a really hard one. Honestly, generally what we would do, anybody with maybe 12 to 18 months, we generally say to bypass us. Go directly to this firm or that firm, and I will give the names of these firms, because reality is it's a great opportunity for them to get a role than going through somebody like myself. Because frankly, we charge a service, we charge a fee for that individual. And if they're struggling to find a role, why would then the client come to me and say, yeah, we'll pay a fee for it? So generally, we'd ask them to bypass us and go direct. And I would give them names. It doesn't hinder me in any way, shape or form, but it gets them an opportunity. I've placed a lot of people, so sometimes it's quite nice to give back and say, off you go.
Yes.
And speak to this person or that person, or I will speak to that practice. Say, hey, this is on us. Speak to this person. They're amazing. We don't want anything to do with this. This is all yours. That's what we would prefer.
Can you debunk a myth for me? I heard of rumor mill that if a recruiter has put through your CV already to a practice, and then in the future can be a time limit, but within that time limit, if you go and apply yourself, they can't actually hire you directly. They have to, in effect, defer back to the recruiter who initially shared the CV.
Yeah. So it depends on what terms you've got, and it depends how hard you push these terms as well. So generally in recruitment, you have like an ownership. This sounds ownership, but you have a time frame of maybe 6 to 12 months of a candidate. So I could say I could send you to an individual firm, and you might not be right now. You might interview. You might not be right just now, but they want to stay in contact. That's fine. So anything that happens within 12 months, we would be notified of that, or we'd just stay in conversation. But it really depends on the recruiter. If they really want to push it and they haven't had any conversation with this candidate in months and months and months, and they're still trying to push it, or have to refer back to the client, that's a little bit ridiculous. Just leave it. Move on.
The candidates don't really know all this stuff
No,
that
they wouldn't have a
happens in the
clue.
background.
They wouldn't have a clue. But again, the candidate's still going to get the job,
Yes.
right? So at the end of the day, they're still going to get the job. The client, which would be the design firm, would be paying for the service, not the candidate. So in theory, the candidate, it doesn't really matter to the candidate as long as they get that opportunity for them and their career. Anything in the back end, it's with the recruiter and the firm. But we never stand in the way. Never ever stand in the way, because it's one opportunity. There's plenty more.
What other kind of secrets in the back end, per se, do you think more people should maybe know to help them along in their journey, be it a client side or a candidate side?
Well, you can look at it from two points. You can look at it from the candidate side or the client side. It really depends on way in which you want to go about it. It's difficult. Don't do things like over applying. Don't just send a blanket email. Don't send an email to me and don't put in my first name. Put in my first name so it's related to me and discuss what you want to do. If there's candidates who just send me a CV with nothing on it, unfortunately, I'm just going to delete it, because they've not had time because they're expecting me to then work with that.
And they're not treating you like a person.
So hold on. So where's my respect? Like, come on, we have to work together. It's a partnership. We've got to work hand in hand. And honestly, just be honest. Yeah. Just give us all the information so we can help you as best we can. It's really difficult when somebody keeps something from you, because it reflects badly on us as well. And it does. And we don't have the best name anyway. So let's do all we can to try and, keep the name we've got or improve it at the very least. But just be honest.
Why do you think recruiters don't have a good name?
There's a lot of cowboys and cowgirls in the industry. They're in it for money. They're in it for a lot of money. And they don't really care. A lot of them don't really care where a candidate would go, because at the end of the day, they're looking at it from a money standpoint. If you do a good process and if you speak to them professionally and honestly and give them advice, that will put you in better stead for the future. And I guarantee you'll still make more money than the ones who just flick and hope to catch something.
That's almost a universal lesson there, I think, for listeners, that staying in your truth and your integrity and your values will exponentially deliver more results. Yeah,
it may not feel like that initially, but over time it will. It really will, because architecture in Melbourne or Sydney or wherever is very small. It's a very small industry. Everyone knows pretty much everyone. It takes a split second to do, if you do something wrong or you didn't mean to or whatever, you can really lose a lot of trust in that time. And if you lose your trust, it takes a lot of time to build that up again. And trust me, I'm not perfect. There are things that I've tried to do in the past where it's gone against me, and that's fine. It is what it is. I've tried to, and that's not from me trying to be sneaky. That it is just what it is. It is a recruitment at the end of the day. You've got to be quick in recruitment, but again, you've got to be thorough at the same time. So it's real that balance and act as well. It's really, really, really difficult. So I just feel like if we can be as honest, clear, and our thing is all about being clear and simple. That's it. That's the process there.
What percentage of candidates that come across your desk do you think you'd actually place?
Depends on the market. It really depends. So at the start, we sort of discussed about how it's going in the climate. Not huge amount in the last sort of 6 months. The industry's not been great. It's been very quiet. A lot of redundancies, but so within that period, not many, because then the clients are just not looking. But in a job sort of heavy market, I'm out of 10 applicants of a role, I'd probably, if I had 3 to 4 interviews for one role, I would feel comfortable to place that role. It's hard to put a number on it. It really is. It's depending on area, specialism, anything really, experience. There's a bracket of, say, 4 to 8 years, which is really hard to find anybody in. With Revit a couple of years back, it was really, really hard. But if you found anybody in a busy market, I'd get them 5 or 6 interviews.
Yeah.
But right now, I might not even get on one, or I might get one because it's just the market.
There's one more question from Kimberly. It's a good one. Can you describe your most memorable candidate?
Memorable candidate. Yeah, I won't give the name away,
Of course.
or replace them. Just how I discussed it. This guy was very genuine, very honest, very likable, very loyal guy. He'd worked at his firm for, I'm going to say 10 years, 8 to 10 years. Very nice man. He just gave me all the real information I needed, what he actually wanted. And then with that, I went to market and I found him an unbelievable opportunity in a difficult market with a brilliant client. And he's now exceptionally happy because we ticked everything that he wanted within a role, firm, culturally, everything. It was just the perfect thing. And he was just, and he was just honest from the start, you know, and that's all we can ask for. And it just really, really worked. It was a really good process. And I'm chuffed for him. I really am.
I can see how excited you get talking about these candidates and placement. And I'm actually seeing a few parallels with sport, because of recruitment, it can be extremely fast paced. You could turn around a candidate and a job and a contract in a week or 2, if not sometimes sooner.
Yeah, I've had jobs on one day and I filled them by the end of the day because the person was immediate. I got them in, they got an offer, it was all done within a day. But there's other times it's taken me like directors 3-4 months. So it depends, and that's a bit of a long slog. But yeah, it really depends. It really depends. I think you've got to be passionate. I think as a designer, you've got to be passionate. You've got to love architecture.
You really do.
Right, because reality is you're in it because you love it. You're not in it you are in it for money. Of course, you need to make a living, but reality is you're in it for the design, the passion. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I'm not an architect, but I love seeing the design. I love seeing what people do and how they can do it and how they explain it. And I'm like, great, I can use that, because when I meet clients, they're like, we want this, and this. And I can go away from that thinking, right, I can really help you because I believe in what you're telling me. And I'm passionate about it. And that's exactly what I want from a candidate and a client. Yeah.
Amazing. And you must get instant job satisfaction, really, or quite quick job satisfaction when you've got happy clients and happy candidates.
Well, if you've got a really good client who's got a really good job, you're going to find a really good candidate
For them.
You know? And that's the whole point, because that's why you have to meet all your clients. You have to meet them. You have to know them inside out. You have to know, you know, what they do culturally in terms of, you know, do they do anything fun? It's not just about work. It's about what do they do to help their sort of employees. If even you can really learn on that and develop on that, that's what I like.
What's the most innovative thing you've seen firms do in terms of their people and culture?
Well, it used to be work from home, right? It used to be the sort of, we can offer 1 day a week from home, but obviously
bare minimum.
Yeah, now that's like a given now. I've gone to firms. They've got like table tennis. They've got pool. They've got darts. They've got arcade games. They have got like an area where they sort of just have weekly drinks, and it's a social environment. It's because they're there a long time. They want to make it fun. It's not just sit down and work. It's a creative, collaborative environment, and that's exactly what you want. That, you know, certain firms would offer, you know, like a bonuses scheme and things like that on people who join, or, you know, training, or not just like $1,000. They can offer $5,000 for training, because people want to learn as well, which is really important. So there's lots of things firms do.
4-day work weeks, we're seeing more and more.
4-day work weeks, yeah. They do 8 till 6 or whatever it would be, and they're doing a Monday to Thursday and whatever. Or you can work it out, or you just give trust back to them to make a decision. You know, having that sort of flexi day within the week, like, as long as you communicate around that, again, communication, as long as you communicate what day you're having, and there's no meetings on that day or whatever, you have to be in the office to sort of do some design work, do it. And people want that. They want that. They want to feel empowered. And if you can, if a design firm or any firm in particular can offer that, then that's great.
What do you think is the number one key ingredient in some of your clients' success?
Wow,
Some of the design success.
the design success. Well, in regards to design, it's a opinionated thing, right? It's like it can be anything. Like your design or my design could be completely different, but I might love mine. It really is just
It's subjective, yeah.
Subjective, exactly right. So again, it starts with good people. It starts with opportunity. It starts with giving them the power to go and do that, and then learning from their mistakes, or if not, that there might not be mistakes, but just developing that skill set. Like you want. I struggle when directors just do the design work as well. It's really difficult because you get into architecture to get involved in design, and people want that opportunity. And as long as I see firms giving other candidates, colleagues, an opportunity to do some design work and deal with clients, because the hardest bit I think is dealing with the client and understanding what the client wants and then creating that. Right, that can be hard. And I feel like if they can do that, then I think you'll get the better design success, because everyone's got an opinion, and as long as you're listening, as long as the directors or whoever owns it are listening and the clients are listening, then I reckon you'll get a pretty good end result.
Here. It sounds a lot like also just parking your ego sometimes. If you want to grow your business and you want to scale to be a larger practice, a smaller practice, you want to expand, it's actually getting people involved.
Yeah, just have a round table discussion. Just collaborate. If you can listen, like people struggle to listen. If you can just be quiet, silent, and then go from there, and you'll be surprised what people can come up with. Because like not everybody wants to speak out either.
That's really true.
So it's also like understanding, how do we get more from this individual, or how do we help this individual speak up, and how do we do that? And that's again listening to what they want, having conversations. How do you best learn what's good for you? Because most firms are under pressure to just get the work out, get the bids out, bid, but they forget about everything else.
Have
It's
you
that balance and act.
So true. Have you ever had a placement that you've known, oh, I've gotten that candidate in, and suddenly that firm's having really tremendous success, and you've been able to perceive a cause and effect? Or
it's hard to know. It's hard to know because you don't know.
yeah,
Because success could mean anything, financially, design, anything. Culturally, I've had some really good success of placing like studio managers in, operation managers. Something what can have a bit of an impact, an instant impact.
yes,
From a design, not really, but from a sort of a administration standpoint, absolutely.
and architectural administrators and studio managers are amazing people. They're
Yeah.
highly skilled, highly specialized. They know
Amazing.
exactly what they're doing in our industry. They really
Yeah,
they hold those practices up. They're the
I know
glue.
some good uns. I know some real good uns. I won't say their names, but if you're listening, you know who you are. But yeah, it's there are some. They're key to success. Practice managers, studio managers, operations, as I said, all the administration staff, even like receptionists. Right, that first
Yes.
point of contact. Like how important is that? If I go into a place and they're smiling and they're polite and they talk to you with respect, and they do, you leave that thinking, oh, that's the first point of contact. That's the first point of contact for my candidate.
Yes.
That's going to be an amazing thing, because they could go in and they're going to feel that's a good place to work. And it starts from the first contact point. Yeah.
So many good lessons, really transferable. I think really expansive on how to move through life, through business, how to relate and connect to people. And I really appreciate that. And as part of the broader constellation of ideas that we get to discuss on this program, I'm really also keen to ask, what's your top advice for candidates right now? Because you did mention it's a bit difficult in the climate. It's improving.
Yep.
It's looking really good for the beginning of the year.
Yep, I
but
agree. Yep.
what is your advice for candidates right now who are thinking, oh, should I leave? Should I not leave?
If you're thinking about having or leaving, definitely come and just have a conversation. have an open conversation. You don't have to get your CV, you don't have to get your folio. And it really depends on why you're looking to leave as well. If it's money related, just go and ask or have a conversation around if you can get more money. Because if it is and you feel underpaid and undervalued, just go and have a conversation, because that can be quickly fixed. If the design firm really wants you and they like you and they want to keep you, they will invest in you. If it's not about money and it's really about opportunity and growth, then come and just have a genuine conversation. What do you want to do? What's important for you? Where do you see your career right now? Where do you see it in the future? And how are we going to get there? Let's just have a conversation. And it might turn into nothing for 6 months. That's absolutely fine. But at least have a conversation so you feel you've got some value from that. And then you can then plan your future. Because quite frankly, it's going to start to get busy soon. And especially Brisbane, if you want to move up to there with all the Olympics and all that stuff, that's starting to really ramp up, and that's going to obviously the 100-day review is coming to an end soon as well. But things have to happen because there are many people wanting to move to Melbourne or wherever, and they have to do the infrastructure or the community or the education around that, and it will be busy. So if you want to take an opportunity, just come and have a conversation, an honest conversation.
It's really important to remember that quiet periods never actually last that long.
No. This has lasted longer than I've known, but what it will happen, it will ramp up and it will be very busy very soon. So if you're thinking about that, even if it's in June, July, August, whatever, have a conversation, talk through your CV, talk through your folio, get it ready if you feel it's not the right opportunity where you are. And then when it starts to get busy,
You'll lock and load it.
Go for it, because then, quite frankly, the salaries will increase as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what will happen, because people will need people, so the salaries will increase. It might only be 5%, but they will increase because the demand, the shortage of good candidates, there's a big gap between good and bad.
Yeah, of course.
Quite
In
frankly.
our highly skilled, highly trained industry, I know it takes at least 7 years to become an
Highly
architect.
skilled. Yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, but just, take it bit by bit.
I think it's really important that we maybe offer listeners some more advice about how to negotiate around money.
Yeah,
Because
that's a good one. That's a hard one, because I find architects struggle with that.
They think it's altruism. They think their creative virtue is a gift.
Correct. They find it hard to have a conversation around money or what the value is. You see like a lot of the salary guides going out at the moment from various recruitment firms. But it's all very different. It can be in a ballpark anyway.
Quite broad.
It's very, very broad. Every firm's different. There might be some firms who have a higher percentage in terms of sort of profit and whatever, so they got a bit more money to use. It really depends. But salary is a difficult one, but I think the best thing to do is just write down really what it is you want to get out of the conversation, and just try and have an honest conversation with your direct lead, and just try and discuss the market. Have conversations not directly maybe with colleagues, because that can be a bit confronting, I think, as well, because firstly you don't want to know that somebody's got the same experience as you but on 10 grand more, because that will really upset you. But maybe if you know people within the industry, have a conversation, speak to us. We can give you a good ballpark of where it should be. But generally I think the best way to do is always just have a conversation, sit down, review it. And if you don't like what you hear, that's fine. Go into whatever opportunities are out in the marketplace.
I think it's often particularly hard for younger employees, and architecture has a lot of students and graduates who are in the profession, probably much younger members of our workforce.
Yeah.
Less experienced. And also, unfortunately, not to stereotype, but we actually have the data and the research on this from Parla that women aren't as good necessarily as negotiating and advocating for the larger salaries.
Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because generally they're amazing.
Yeah.
They're absolutely amazing architects.
Yeah.
And what I like about females, they see it from a different view as well, and it's just like they sort of see it, they sort of look at it I feel they look at it from a wider standpoint, and they can sort of like holistically see it all.
Yes.
I don't know what that is, but generally that's what I feel. But yeah, like women are, they've been the cornerstone for a while of the industry, and we just need to get. I also feel we need to get more females higher up within the industry
In leadership.
leadership, and I also feel the design firms need to get more females higher up, because you need the graduates coming through to see the females higher up to achieve that, to look for somebody like that so they can put the time and effort in. Just think if you've got a graduate coming through, a female graduate, and they've just got all men at the top,
They won't stick around.
they might get a bit of experience, but I can tell you now that they're moving on.
Yeah.
Because they just don't want to see that.
It'll impact your staff retention. You spend all this time and effort and money on training, and then your staff will leave you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, always.
What about some really practical tips to help listeners with this? Often it's said to kind of nominate your salary within a range, within maybe a 10K range when you're looking to negotiate. How can that help someone?
I think it depends firstly on what you feel you're worth. So try and have an understanding of what you feel you're worth. But generally, if you can get, a 5 to 10 grand pay rise from sort of like a 3-year experience up to maybe a 5-6 years experience, then generally that's pretty much market. But again, it depends industry in terms of typology. It depends on level of experience, depends on firm you're at. Every firm's different. There are some firms who've got brilliant names who pay lower than firms who've got not so good names, and they pay more because they have to get the staff in.
Yeah.
So it really depends. There are some firms who I won't mention, brilliant firm, but they pay 10, 15 grand lower than most because they got a name and people want to work there for that experience.
It's knowing your own value as well.
Knowing what you're worth.
And being really prepared to stick up for that and speak up for that.
Yeah. But also also if you are a graduate, you are a green graduate, you're not there for the money. I know you need money, but reality is you're just there for the exposure. If you can get exposure and lots of it early doors in the first 12 to 18, 24 months, that will set you up. So it's not about name. It's really not about name. It's about what are you actually doing day to day, and who do you work with? Do you have a really good leader? Can they communicate to you? Are you learning? If you're learning, then brilliant. That's exactly what you want, because then you can jump from that, and then you can demand more because you know more. And that's really important. Another tip I would suggest is, if you can and you're at university, try and get some work experience. Work through your university. I know it's a lot to ask, but what that does, that you jump above thousands more students who haven't worked.
Absolutely. I tell all my students this when I'm lecturing, when I'm teaching.
Because you get thicker shoulders, you learn little bit life experience, what work is actually like, and you learn quickly about what you're actually good at the moment. Use that to get an opportunity, and then build on your strengths and your weaknesses.
Absolutely. And the most amazing part of that I found when I was working as a student is that work kept you grounded at university a little bit.
Yeah.
You didn't quite stress out so much. I actually worked better at uni. And then uni kept me inspired and motivated and creative for work, especially when you were doing some of the less exciting parts of the job, which every job has.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's you're not always designing. You're not. And if you think you are, then well, that's fine. But
sometimes you've got stair details.
You've got to be doing something like that. Yeah, unfortunately, but the whole building has to get built.
Exactly right, including door schedules.
Yeah, unfortunately, you don't be doing that either. But it is what it is. But see it as an opportunity.
Yes.
Don't see it as boring. See it as an opportunity to. I want to be the best at that. I want to be the best at this, and I want to be the best at that. Because that will then help you. For definite. And I would also suggest that from a graduate standpoint as well, in terms of or the designing, to try and design as much as you can at university. Just be creative as you can, because when you get into another opportunity, you're not going to be designing, but the studios will look at your design work from university, and not just your design work. How did you go about that? What was your thought process around that? So always articulate and understand that as well as best you can, because that will help you as well. So just design.
Excellent point of advice, excellent tip. And also having that critical, as you said, reflecting on it, having that critical reflective practice and thinking about your work so that you can talk about it, so that you can communicate it.
You got to articulate it. If you can articulate it to a point where you can literally do it in your sleep, then you're fine. It's like anything in life, isn't it? As long as you know what you're doing, you're comfortable doing it, and you're comfortable within yourself and your skin, you'll be absolutely fine doing it.
What about portfolios? Are some candidates overcooking them, undercooking them?
Mixed bag. It is a mixed bag. I know from a folio instantly if it's going to be a good one to speak to my clients about.
Oh, okay. So how
and
do you
that's just from
determine
time though. That's just from time though. All right. That's just from me seeing things, knowing what individual clients are looking for. Right. Real key here, guys. Keep your student work in your folio, because that shows the creative nature of you as a person. If you feel you're a creative, right? So keep it in there. Not loads and loads and loads, but just some aspect of what you were doing. Because reality is, if you've got 3-4 years experience, you might not have been doing design work. You might have been doing whatever. But reality is, keep it in there, so then the studios can see it. And that's also key. And also hand sketching, all the sort of the art that goes, all that creative hand sketching, whatever, drawing a straight line, show all that sort of stuff, because that's really important as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can instantly tell. And it's not, you can tell when somebody just copied and pasted something on an A4 and just stuck it in and said, there we go, that's it. To me, that's just not good enough. You might get an opportunity, but you're not going to get an opportunity with the good design firms. It just won't come about.
So you're looking for layouts and
A story.
a bit of text, a bit of a story.
Yeah, a story. Student work all the way through, different projects, what you were actually involved on that project. Don't send me a huge commercial building and you were only doing door schedule or whatever you're doing. Articulate what you were doing within that and how you came about that. And that can be a short little thing. Just give me some real short captions. You can do link to it as well, whatever you need to do, but keep it all within one as best you can, I would suggest.
And it shouldn't be linear necessarily. You want to start with your best and finish with your best, and then go oscillate in the middle, right?
Correct. Yeah, correct. You need to keep people interested. If you can get them past page 3 or 4, perfect. It's when there's like 15 pages and it's good, but it's just too much.
They say that your folio for an interview should be around that 20 pages maximum.
Yeah, max. You probably don't even have to do that. Really, as long as you've got a few key projects. It kind of depends on what you're doing as well, though, right? So it depends on your years of experience. You could have 20 years, and it really depends.
There's a strategy that some use, and I think we were told about this at uni, where you put together a smaller sample folio, 3 to 7 projects. Yeah. That's your teaser or your
Correct.
calling card of sorts, and then the one you go into the interview with is your main big kahuna, so that the firm hasn't seen everything already.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you need some sort of magic stardust somewhere. Like, you need to give the wow factor. So you want to have a bit of a teaser of what it's going to be like, and then hit them with your folio, and take your laptops. Take everything you want in terms of being creative. Like I always say, take your laptops, because you've got better opportunity, bigger stuff to take. Gone are the days really now where you're taking an actual folio, a hand printed folio. You generally will just take now like a laptop in, talk through it, present as if, this is the only opportunity you've got, go for it. But obviously be prepared for it and just discuss it. As long as you can articulate what you're doing, why you were doing it, and this is the outcome. Again, it doesn't have to be the right answer, but as long as you can sort of show what you're trying to do, that's what people want to see.
And iPads are getting as big as a sheet of paper now. It used to cost you so much money. You'd get an interview. You'd have to print a whole folio. It'd be so expensive.
Honestly,
Going for an interview and
the
then
amount
you'd
of
realise-
paper, the
Yeah.
amount of trees I've destroyed by like printing off CVs, and now it's you just don't need it anymore.
Can use the tools that are available to us.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct.
What about interview questions and how someone should conduct themselves or represent themselves at an interview? What tips do you have?
So interviews, it's a funny one, isn't it? It's so interviews for me are firstly, obviously, research where you're going. Like know the name, know where you're going, know the location, know how long it takes to drive there or get the tram or the bus. No timings. Do like a pre-run. Sounds silly. You don't want to be late. Don't be too early, but don't be too late, or don't be late at all. Actually, 5 to 10 minutes before the interview is ready, go in. I was always told to never sort of sit down in the reception area. Like always be active, always be looking around at the awards, or try and get some bit of nuggets or knowledge within the reception area itself. There's a lot that generally they have magazines on the table, or have their projects. Have a quick go through, even if you're not even reading it and you're nervous and you're shaking. It just takes your mind off things. Just look at some stuff. Gather information, because then that sort of your minute to 2 minutes walk into the interview room, you can have a bit of chit chat around what you've just seen, and it's building that trust, it's building that rapport. It's like anything, build as much rapport as you can, because then again they like you. If they like you, there's an opportunity.
Yes.
If you go late in there and you don't communicate, again you start off on the back foot. If you are going to be late, guess what? Give them a call. You need to speak to them, to give them a heads up. Again, it shows that you're able to communicate correctly to that individual, because that's what they want to do. If you're going to communicate to their clients, they want to make sure, if you are late or whatever reason, you're doing it correctly. So prepare, look at the website, look what's going on, look at the interviewer, get the information from the recruiter, if it is a recruiter, or if you've gone direct, ask for who you're actually meeting so you can understand who they are. They'll be on the website. You can understand where they're to university. You might have some sort of real, you might know them from somewhere else. You just do not know. You might know somebody, you know, so-and-so. Again, rapport.
Small world too.
Honestly.
They'll probably not all know each other.
Know everyone, and it's that rapport building, it's that trust, it's just that sort of back and forth. A real good interview for me, it's just a general conversation, and it flows into questions, and it flows, answers flow, and you feel like, even if I don't get the opportunity, I've left a good impression, and that's all you can do, because things do change, projects stop, projects should be shelved, things go on hold, but you want to leave a lasting impression.
Yeah.
Questions, if you can have your questions in front of you, or what you want to get, or why are you there, because reality is you don't want to go to an interview and go and do the same job again of where you're at.
Yes.
Right? Most people want a career development. So what does that mean? Ask the questions. So what's in it for me? Be selfish. What's in it for me? Career development, projects. Who's my team leader? What am I doing? Am I doing this or am I doing this? And then money, don't really discuss money. It's okay, because reality is they should know already how much you're worth. If they ask you the question, so how much you're looking for, well, you should know this, because I've sent my information across. I know you know how much I want. This is what I'm looking for. And if the clients start to ask you around money, we're only going to pay this, then you know that you're not going to feel valued as well. And that's another one. It's okay to walk away as well. And, I know it's a difficult time at the moment and things will improve, but never take any money underneath something that you feel that you're going to be annoyed about when things pick up in the market. Because guess what? You're going to leave. You're going to leave for more money elsewhere.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Yeah. I know people need an opportunity, and I understand that. But, it's only a short term at the moment. So try and get what you feel you're worth and what the industry should be paying you.
And what about how to dress to an interview?
Dress to impress, as they say, smart casual, no need for a suit and tie, guys.
That era's done, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's really done.
That's all finished. So just smart. Shoes, whatever you want, just make sure everyone's smart. Don't overdo it. Don't underdo it either. Don't just rock up in cut up jeans and then, you know, like a baggy white t-shirt, like have something. But yeah, just make sure that you feel, because you have to feel good within yourself to have a good interview as well. Does that make sense? So
Yes, you have to be confident.
If you're running late or you're sweating or whatever, that, you know, you immediately feel on the back foot, and you don't want that. So yeah, dress to impress. Don't overdo it. Just be smart. Look at the website. The website gives you an idea of what people wear as well. Does that make sense? So if you've got the directors in like a nice casual polo or whatever, I don't know, whatever girls wear, I don't know, they wear blouses, whatever, I don't know.
A lot of black t-shirts around
Yeah,
probably
whatever.
in our industry.
Yeah. So yeah, exactly right. Yeah, short, yeah, black t-shirts. So yeah, just look at what they wear, because there's you can kind of define on that as well. You can sort of see it as, okay, well, they like to wear this, fine, then I'll wear that. I'll mirror that person the best you can.
Just do your best if that's the firm you really want to be at, to fit in and
But
represent yourself.
But be yourself, right? You don't want to try and fit in if it's not right for you.
No, completely, because you won't be happy.
You won't be happy.
You won't succeed.
You won't succeed. You won't like the people there. They're completely different to you. You've got to be happy and content within what you're doing. You know, and that's super important. If you feel good within yourself, you'll do even better work.
Yeah.
And the people around you, if you get on with those people, even better.
What's one of the longest job hunts you've had to support a candidate through?
Oh my god. It depends. I've had directors, and they're like, "Lee, if you can find me this, and this, let's go for it." And yeah, I've had jobs. Yeah, I don't know, year, 18 months. They've stayed in a role. I've got people now who are senior within the industry, looking for opportunities, and they're like, if the right opportunity comes about, tell us. Yeah, I've had one for 24 hours. I've had one for 12 months. Like, it just depends. It depends on the individual. It depends on what they're really looking for as well. So yeah, it really depends. It can be anything. It really can be anything. It depends on the market as well.
It's also such a personal journey and such a personal experience, but connecting with the right people, working with the right people can get you so much closer.
Yeah.
I'm mindful of the time, so I'll ask my last question.
That's all right. Oh yeah, God, that's flown by.
It does fly by.
Jesus, that's flown by.
What gives you hope?
What gives me hope? What gives me hope? The conversations that I'm having at the moment with clientele, design firms about the future. That's what gives me hope. Like, that's what gives me hope of we're looking at being a lot brighter future in 2025 and into 2026. And that gives me hope for what we do at Vivid Recruitment, that, you know, that it's going to be, you know, a good year. I reckon it's going to be even a better year next year.
That's fantastic. That's so great to hear, and I'm sure it's heartening to many listeners and practices and anyone who's worked with you or is looking to work with you into the future in general, because we need that little boost in the sector. I think we're all feeling it. So
yep, absolutely.
Let's wrap up on that note.
Yeah,
cheers to a great 2025.
Yeah, cheers.
Thank you so much, Lee, for joining me on the program.
Very welcome.
Thanks for joining me for another evening of Radio Architecture with Ilana Razbash. This live show was broadcast and recorded in the Radio Karim studio on Bunurong Country. You can replay the show wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in and supporting community radio. Take care.
Hi, I'm Dr. Floyd Gomes, aka Atticus Health with Dr. Floyd, you might recall, and it's great to be here.